So he starts off target. So even though he tracked the Baptiste to the right side, his tracking was delayed, so he was off target, and now he needs to go to the left side again. Hello YouTube, Yasha here, welcome to today's video. Hope you're having a great day, you deserve a great day. Thank you for watching. So let's discuss about how tracking progression. So we start here with a review, an Overwatch of a random player, and we just go over the markers, what is actually required from tracking. So let's actually start with the definition of what is tracking, what is clicking, and basically the answer is simple. So here, ignore the Overwatch gameplay for now, it is irrelevant. So you have a target. Let's start with, you have a crosshair in the center. Here, this is a green dot. We make it a little bit bigger plus. Doesn't matter. And now imagine you actually have a target on the right side. Here. So what you want to do, of course, is quite simple. You want to move your crosshair onto here and click. And this is called clicking. Right? Click timing. Why is it called click timing? Well, because moving your cursor from here to here takes the time. Let's say, I don't know, 100 milliseconds. It doesn't matter, honestly, what we type here. 100 milliseconds. But in this time, this target has moved from here to maybe here. Okay? Maybe. No. So if you clicked here, you might actually be off. If you click short, you actually might be on the target. And of course, you have yourself a little bit of shakiness. So you actually, your path moves more like this, and maybe you end up here in your clicking actually. But your target in 100 milliseconds moves to here. And that's why it's click timing. It's, you need two things, precision to land where you want to land, and speed where you want to land. Now, what has this to do with tracking? Well, it's just a definition to separate these two skills. So what is tracking? Tracking is not about position, but about the speed. So you have a bot, an enemy on your screen that moves in this line there. So an enemy that moves in this line. So here's this head, arms and a second leg. And this enemy moves to here. Again, arms and the leg. And so you see this movement. And what you do as tracking is basically you take your crosshair, maybe I'm very sorry. Okay, I hope it doesn't matter too much. Hey. So you take your crosshair and you do the exact same motion that the enemy did on his with his character. You do the exact same motion on your mousepad, so you move your mousepad from here to here. Now, the important thing about tracking is that this line and this line are the same direction and the same length and the same speed, basically, right? So the speed is constant, is the same as your target. So now the thing is, of course, if you do it like this, you will be off target. That way, usually tracking starts with flicking onto the target first, or smoothly moving your crosshair onto the target, and then start tracking. So you do not track in a vacuum. You track when you are already on target, and that's already our first definition. What is about tracking is specifically mimicking the speed of your target on screen with your mouse hand. So let's take on a different camera, so it's a little bit in the way, but you see my mouse. And so basically when I see a target on my screen, I move my mouse in the same way the target moves on my screen, okay? And so you first need to get your cursor onto the target, and then you need to track the target. These are two separate skills, okay? This is one thing I want to say. And of course, then after, well, two separate skills, but they're usually within the complete tracking, but it's a little bit hard to explain. So to track, you need to be on target, but the pure tracking is basically the copying of the speed. And this is your goal, to create a scenario where you copy the speed and you have perfect tracking. Now, of course, at some point, the target will switch directions. So you will fall off target, and then you need to get back onto the target and then track again for this movement. And so you need different skills. One thing is, of course, you need to move your mouse smoothly. You need to read the target correctly. Where is it moving to? Which speed is it moving to? And in an in-game scenario, you also need to compensate for your own movement in some way or form. So if you are anti-mirror strafing, of course, you need to move different than if you are mirror strafing. So here we have the soldier seeing a target. And as you see, he moves left, but he doesn't compensate with his mouse. Camera, please stay focused. Thank you. So he starts off target. So even though he tracked the Baptiste to the right side. His tracking was delayed, so he was off target, and now he needs to go to the left side again. Now again, the Baptiste was going to the left, so the soldier also started moving his crosser to the left, but again was too late, so he fell off the Baptiste again. And so in the end, in this short sequence, he hit a really minimum amount of shots. Okay. And now this is where we want to start our aim training progression for tracking. Okay, that's with this short introduction. Let's just see this again, just for fun and giggles. Okay, he walks around the corner, is not ready to shoot, flicks where his target is, but until his sprint finishes, he actually starts shooting. The target ran off his crosser. Additionally, he is anti-mirror strafing, so target goes to the right, he goes to the other direction, so he would have needed to move the crosser, but he didn't. So he starts tracking, but misses. But the target randomly crosses his crosser, so he has 1 or 2 hits. But then again, he lags behind this compensation. Okay, so here we have our tracking. So let's just define this as our tracking skill. We can look at a different player in the same sequence. Let's look at this player. This is a tracer, also notoriously known for tracking. Well, she's already in the center of it, so here you see nothing to track. Let's see, we acquire a new target, want to fight, so we shoot just in the mass of targets, we don't track much, but here we have a small track onto the Moira, okay? Let's see this again. So here we, behind this Reinhardt, we start to see a Moira. Here we move our crosser roughly to the Moira. It's a little bit scuffed because of the orb. Moira jumps, so we put our crosser up and try to mimic the falling down. Another typical tracking scenario. And now, yeah, this is the skills we want to discuss. So the first thing with tracking progression, I actually start with in-game training. Why is it important? You saw the soldier, he started shooting when he was not on target. And this is the first thing I want you to actually be aware of if you play a game like Overwatch or like Apex. You have in-game filters. This might be your... and with filters I mean something that actually makes your raw aim not translate onto in-game skills. And this might be... In Apex it might be recoil or clutter from your gun, or if you shoot you have a lot of visual clutter, movement and abilities from enemies. In Overwatch as well, we see the soldier was sprinting and he started shooting later than he would have liked to start shooting. So we import code and we start with just a simple in-game. Here we go to practice range. We go to exactly practice range. Okay, and this is the first thing I want you to fix if you want to use an aim trainer to improve your in-game aim. Okay? So we start with soldier, and the first thing, understand how your actual character works. So if you sprint and you start shooting, you don't see when I click, but you don't start shooting right away. It takes a little bit of time. So instead of shooting, running around the corner, see target, then start decelerating, actually run where the enemy will be, stop running, and then go around the corner normally without sprinting. So you can start shooting right away. So the first thing you need to train is actually be ready to shoot when there can be an enemy. Be ready to shoot when there is an enemy. Be ready to shoot when there is an enemy. So you don't need to run so far out, but you actually can start shooting right after leaving cover. Okay? The second thing is have crosser placement around head height. So there are 2 bots, right? If I run here and I aim like this, I aim the feet, that's bad. Hey, have your crosshair where you expect the enemy head to be. If you run around this blue box, there is a bot right there. We don't aim like this and then flick up onto the bot. We actually have the crosshair high where the head might be and already start at head height. Okay? Start at head height. Start at head height. Okay? Have your crosser placement correctly before you start the engagement and be ready for the actual engagement. Just 2 very fundamental things. Because if you do not, then you have to compensate before the fight even starts and you're already struggling before you even start aiming. And this is no good. Okay, that's why the first 2 things are really in-game things and get them down perfectly because they're actually easy to fix. I repeat it once again. Easy to fix. Run around the corner, stop running, be ready to shoot. Be ready to shoot when you see the enemy. Be ready to shoot when you see the enemy. Okay? You're ready to shoot. Second thing is crosshair placement. Don't look with your eyes above your crosshair. Look with your eyes where your crosshair is. Look around with your crosshair. Your eyes never leave the center of your screen. You always look with your crosshair. If you want to see there, see with your crosshair. See with your crosshair. Like if you watch your own replays and you look always onto the ground, it means your eyes are looking above your crosshair. So what happens here is what many low-level players do is they look at this area with your eyes, and then if you actually, so I leave it on, do it in game, so they run like this, so they actually see the bot, and then they need to flick up. They find the bot, and they need to flick up. Find the bot, flick up. Okay, but what the problem is, I find the bot, I flick up, but the moment I flicked up, the bot is gone. So I do 180, then I start aiming. 180, there is the bot, I flick up, but the bot is gone already. So by the moment you compensate for where you're looking with your eyes, the bot's already gone. That's why we don't do this. Instead, we look with your eyes where your crosshair is. This is where you want to see. And now the colors are reversed, but yeah, it should be okay. So if you look now with your eyes where the crosshair is, I look where the bot is, I can shoot. Where's the bot? I can shoot. Where's the bot? I can shoot. As soon as I see the bot, I can shoot. I don't need to start aiming first and then shoot later. I can start shoot right away, okay? The first thing I want to just highlight is the first two skills, ready to shoot, have crosshair placement high up. Easy to fix, very, very important. Makes life so much easier, okay? For the next chapter, we go to an Aimtrainer. So as we have discussed, one of the first skills you need is to actually put your crosshair onto the target in a way that enables you to track the target. So if you're ready to shoot, as we discussed earlier in game, and your cross placement is correct, you should be somewhat close to the target, but not perfectly quite. You still need some adjustment to go onto the target. So if you actually apply perfect tracking, so if you would track with 100% accuracy, which means copying the speed of the target onto your mousepad, then you actually would have 100% accuracy, would be on the target all the time. And this skill to put your crosshair onto the target before tracking is actually very well trainable, not in the tracking scenario, but actually in a target switch scenario. So for this, in AimBeast, we go to normal, filter, type target switch, or just switching. In Kovaaks, you find similar scenarios like path target switch. We start with an easy scenario, because of course you want to have easy scenarios, since you should be new. And we just loaded the first one, Sumo RTS 180, but honestly it doesn't matter for first which one you load. Just go from top to bottom and see if the scenarios do what you want them to do. If you can train what you want to train in the scenarios, if it's too hard, if it's too light, and decide for yourself. Really don't look too much on other lists. So if you start the scenario, we actually started with free play, so we do not have time constraint. So what you do in this scenario, actually you move your cross onto the bot, and then you just track the bots, okay? Now, what do you actually look out for? So of course, doing this scenario, you actually want to train a specific skill, like you usually don't want to go for high scores or something, you want to train a specific skill, and as you remember, the skill is actually to put your crosshair onto the bot so you can continue tracking. So, this is a little bit the same skill set as you would have in a static target clicking or a dynamic target clicking, which you want to put your mouse as fast as you can onto the bot. Because of course, the faster you are on the bot, the faster you can start shooting, and the faster and the less time the bot has, the enemy has to do something different than what you didn't expect, which would throw your aim off again. So if I put my crosshair onto the bot, but it starts to strafe in a different direction, then of course you would be thrown off again. So the first thing is to just understand where's my crosshair, where's the bot, look onto the bot with your eyes, flick onto the bot as fast as you can, while you're still within the size of the bot. Don't focus too much on killing the bots or something. The important for you, for your current training, is to actually just move your crosshair onto the bot and really understand, did your crosshair land where you thought the bot would be when you land? This is the skill you currently want to train. Now the thing is, if you get a little bit better, maybe, I don't know how soon you can start it, you have to experiment yourself, but actually try to not flick where the bot is, but understand where the bot will be at the time when you arrive. So you have an inherent speed, how fast you can be on the bot, and the bot will move during this flick time. The bot will continue to move. So understand what the bot will be before you flick onto them, basically. So flick just a little bit ahead in time. This is the same as you would do in game. And this is the first skill you should train if you want to train for the tracking. Is just put your cursor onto the bot. Now you will in game. You understand it if you go too fast, if you actually start a rubber banding. So if your acquisition looks like this, so you move fast, but you kind of shake a lot at arriving, and you have a hard time understanding where you are. This is a bad practice. It means you go too far or faster than you actually can. You can go slightly faster than you can during training, but in-game, if you train for in-game, you should really stay just a little tiny bit faster than you actually can, not much. Because actually, if you shake too much around the bot, it's actually getting very hard to read where the bot's actually going. But you want to have a clean motion, so you actually can start reading the bot very fast, because reading the bot is the prerequisite to track the bot. So actually go in a speed where you really stop. Move, stop, move, stop, move, stop, move, stop, move, stop. And for this move, stop, you can actually really go even down one further level, actually do this training in not a switch, but in a static clicking scenario. So we need to miss several targets. For example, we had this 2 targets, but we want something static. We want something really static, okay? I think the grid is actually very static, okay? Use any static scenario. Again, we go for free play, for no time constraints. So you have 3 targets and really move stop onto the target. It really, don't touch the mouse, see it doesn't move and you are on point. And you really want to continue. So now I touch my mouse again. I will actually, let's load up my hand cam as well. Now if it would actually start working, it would be really nice. It doesn't want to start working. Okay, we leave it with this. So really, as soon as I touch my mouse, I move and stop. Okay, miss the target. Train again. I move to the left spot. Move, miss the target. Okay, move to the bot. Moved, miss the target, and so on. And really try to stop on the target, and try to stop and really minimize your shaking when stopping. So you see, I still have a little bit of shake. That's good because it's, of course, if you go this slow, you will not shake, but you're also not training. So really to go with a speed where it's on the border of as fast as you can without shaking too much. But you still shake a little bit, but that's what you try to reduce. But you still keep with this speed and try to really not shake too much. Now you see I tend to stop a little bit too soon off the bot, which is a bad habit. And now of course you can add clicking as well, so you can actually get different angles. And try to, for this type of training, go with the big targets and try to not re-aim after stopping. So we do not want to go with the Bardos method where you flick as a micro-correct. You don't want to micro-correct in this type of scenario. You just want to flick, understand, am I on bot or not? I am on bot. Flick, over-flicked. Flick, on bot. Flicked, on bot. Flicked, on bot. And so on. Okay? Just really try to stop your mouse every time you are actually, when you think you have arrived at your target. Do it all in a one flick motion and rather miss than correct. Okay? But of course, again, as I said, it's better to do this a little, to transition this to the target switch scenarios rather from the static clicking. So we go to switching and we do the same. But keep an eye out for the same mistakes, like micro correcting and so on. Really try to get a flick onto the target. So these are now static targets. And these are also very good to just stop. Okay, so with this you can just really train, move your cursor and stop on the target, and later on do it in a more dynamic scenario, like Zoom or VoxTS is also very good for it, where you move onto a moving target and move slightly ahead before you start tracking. Really just try to get onto the target. Now you see, when the targets get smaller, you actually can do it in one flick, then you need to add some micro corrections. And this is not bad if you reduce the target size. But you kind of first want to reduce the size where your first big flick lands, and then add micro aggression on top of it. So if your big flick, for example, lands here and you want to be on this bot and you are here already, this is too far. Then rather train with static bigger bots and train the precision of your first flick. So micro aggressions really stay micro. This is important for tracking later as well. So this was our first skill we want to have. Acquire the target. Now the second thing is to stay on target. And here we have again many micro skills that we want to train to shoot and have good crosser placement. Then move your cross onto the target in a manner where you actually can have tracking. Then track smoothly and precisely how the target is moving, read the target and copy the speed of the target onto your mousepad. So track it and then react when the target changes direction and repeat this process of acquiring the target, track. And so now we pick a tracking character, for example like Sojourn or Sojourn. So it really doesn't matter which one you pick. How do I switch characters? I don't remember. So now, we take this Sojourn and we really try to move your crosser slowly across your head. First without movement. And really try to apply what you have learned. And don't care too much about what you hit in-game or not. Really just start with basic training. Copy the movement, the speed of the target onto your mousepad. Now actually, how do I change heroes? Hold R, okay. Actually start with a character that has no projectile speed. But there are actually no clean tracking characters in Overwatch. Let's start with the Metra. It's kind of close range, but it's fine. So just track the Genji with your beam. And really try to make it look slow, smooth and precise. Don't do anything fancy, don't do anything fast. Don't worry if it's too far away or something, it's really just your tracking skill. So now, when you understood how your tracking applies from your aim trainer onto your in-game, you really need to see the similarities. That's important. Then you can actually start to load the character you actually want to train. For example, you want to train Soldier, which of course has recoil, so you see my crosser moves up. So I now need to compensate for recoil, and now we go and compensate for recoil while doing the same thing. We don't care for deflect now, we just try to copy the movement of the Genji onto our mousepad. Okay? This is the next step basically. So this progression, what we've talked about, can take roughly half a year by the way. So if you train daily half an hour, you first start with the regular crosser placement training, focus your crosser placement, and then you train the next thing, then you train the next thing, and half a year later you should be here. And now you can actually start adding your own movement. So for this, actually adding your movement, select any line, for example the number 2, and you just go right side and you keep your crosser perfectly on the center line. Okay? And depending on your distance, now we take this line, just keep your crosser on the line. If you can do this somewhat smoothly, you can actually then start to actually track enemies and just do a long strafe in one direction and only change direction when you reload, for example. Still focus on copying the target movement onto your mousepad, but now of course the movement changes because now you have your own movement. So it's you have more different speeds basically. Now if you can manage the long strafes, you can start to do shorter strafes. Left, right, left, right. At this stage again, just do it in a rhythm. Don't focus too much on anything else, just do it in a rhythm. This, again, just training your own reading and movement while you move yourself. Also notice that at this point I do not have faster bots. They do not help so much because I focus mostly on my own movement at this point.
Now you see me? Now you don't.
Okay. Then as next step, you actually start adding movement depending on the enemy movement. Now we have two versions. One is mirror strafing, the other one is anti-mirror strafing. So mirror strafing would be if stupid Doomfist. If you target walks left, you go left. If target goes right, you go right. This minimizes the amount of movement you need from your cross on your mouse, but of course it makes it yourself also easier to hit. So this really is you just mirror the movement of the enemy, and this is one type of training. and then after that you do the opposite. You do the opposite movement. So if a critical goes right, I go left. If critical changes direction, I go the other direction.
I've been doing this.
So this maximizes the amount of distance you walk. By the way, if the target walks backward, forward, or stands still, then it just doesn't matter. So don't stress this too much. Just if the target moves right, you go left, and the other, and vice versa. Anti-mirror movement, okay? And these are basically try to combine your tracking skills with your movement in game. And then, if you have all of this down, you can actually make the bots harder and faster. And try to do the same. Decide what you are training, mirror or anti-mirror. Or just go by gut feeling and then just strafe a little bit randomly, it's also fine. Because again, just train your mouse control basically, in this case. Now to get, the same as with the fast tracking in Aim Beast, or with a more difficult control type of game modes. This is actually too easy right now. So what you see right now is actually too easy for me. It is a lot easier than actually doing it in-game. That's why we need harder bots. How do we get harder bots? Well, we load now a harder training scenario. So which one do we load? We load GPYHG. This is a game mode we want to load. I want to, of course, click on create and then settings and then import first. I'm an idiot. Okay. This loads the IO stacks, DPO, Aimtrainer version, whatever version it will be when it goes live. Doesn't matter which version. You start. You again select the same character you want to train. In this case I start with soldier, so I do with soldier. Now you see the bots start very slowly. And if you kill something, you see in the top center, the speed bar goes up and the bots get faster and move faster. But here you actually do the same as before. It's just that the bot movements gets a lot harder because the speed increases, of course. But the thing is, you actually get used to the higher speed. Try to not use visor or rockets too much. Really just focus on mirror strafing and killing them. By the way, if you wonder why the bots are jumping, it's mainly for warming up, so you actually have some vertical movement, and additionally, you actually are forced to reset your crosser placement in between. So you cannot just keep it on head level all the time, but actually are forced to move it up and down, and that throws off your crosser placement, of course. So it trains crosser placement as well. Okay, of course I want to activate auto reload actually, I forgot this one. And just go with this mode. Whatever speed it loads for you, it's fine. Don't worry about which speed you actually reach, it doesn't matter. Important is that it's automatic difficulty scaling basically. So this will just give you bots that are hard enough for you to train something, and that's all that matters for you.
That's a clean takedown.
Okay. And this is basically the progression I recommend you if you want to learn how to track in Overwatch. So you start with your in-game skills and you progress onto the Aimtrainer. Now, one thing I have not covered, which is actually very important, are additional factors. So where do I start? The thing is, I have on my other YouTube channel, I have a bigger video about factors that apply to your aim, which do not require an Aimtrainer. And they're actually very important in Overwatch, because in Overwatch the acceleration of a bot is instant, which means if a bot changes direction, you cannot compensate it by anything. It just has instant full speed in the other direction, which means you will be thrown off. You cannot compensate by reading or anything. And which means actually bot reading is a skill that's much more useful in games like Apex or Quake Champions, or other source-based games basically. But in Overwatch not very useful. In Overwatch you basically need to hard flick on the target and then track it forever amount it is moving in this direction. And when you change direction, you need to completely reset. You cannot kind of read from slowing down and going faster. You will have lower accuracy in Overwatch than in other games because of this reason. But because of this reason, it's actually very beneficial in Overwatch to understand locked movements, which means movements where the target cannot change direction anymore. And these are jumps, Hammond ball slams, Genji dashes, mercy flights, all the things which take control out of the player, but where the character actually does a fixed animation, because during this fixed animation you actually have 100% accuracy if you have learned to predict this movement and copy the movement onto your mousepad perfectly. So like the animation speed, whatever it does in-game. And this is the next step where you actually need the previous skills, so you're able to read, oh, he's jumping now, so I aim where his head will land, and then you have perfect tracking at the end of his jump. Because it's in a locked movement. And then you can actually get tracer one clips and easy kills with soldiers, just ding, 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 headshot, 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 target is dead. And these are really based a lot on this predicted movement. You even go to a point where predicting the enemy dodge patterns is more beneficial than actually tracking the enemy movement partially, sometimes. It depends on many situations, and this will be the next step. But this is where I end the video, so I hope so far it was useful for you to understand how to learn tracking in Overwatch from a mechanical side of view, and not so much from a Overwatch side of view. Now, why would you aim train this in Aim Beast? Why is it important? The thing is, if you play something like Soldier, and you're learning this game, you're new to PC maybe, you're new to Overwatch maybe, you have a lot of clutter on your screen going on. You need to know, oh, is there a Reaper coming with his ultimate? Is there a Mei freezing me? Is there a tank shield in front of me while I cannot shoot through it? All this stuff. And so it's actually hard to focus on training a specific skill, but you actually need to focus on something to train something. And so by specifically training your tracking outside of your regular games allows you to purely focus on your tracking. And then you know, okay, I trained my tracking is better than the rest of my gameplay. And then during your games, if you didn't kill a target, you know, okay, it was not my tracking, I trained my tracking already. It was probably your positioning, your target acquisition, your timing with your team. It was another factor. And this is why it's really useful from my experience to really train this in things like Aim Beast, and then later in game modes like Vexstar or even the IO-Stux DPO trainer, because it removes the necessity from training the skills during your game, so you need to think about ult management and kill feed tracking and and positioning and where's the next mega health pack and where's my support and about all these things. It gives you the opportunity to focus on one skill after the other, and that makes training a lot easier. And because actually the skill of tracking can be broken down into individual atomic skills, you can train every atomic skill on its own. But it depends that you actually understand which atomic skill is actually holding you back the most. And that's why I also recommend to actually review your gameplays sometimes. Go to career profile, history, replays, load anyone. Understand which part of aiming was actually holding you back from achieving your goals. So we go to any situation. So here we are as Tracer, we are going into the Mercy. Which skill was I missing to actually do something here? So crosser placement is perfect. Chef's kiss for my crosser placement, I like this a lot. We are on head level perfectly. We are ready to shoot, we are not even randomly running or something, we are crosser, perfect. But you see, even though I was ready to shoot, I still can react instantly, right? I just have human reaction time. So now we track this locked movement from top down, but now we fall off a little bit. And now the brick came to us and we needed to flash out. So this situation was not limited by my tracking skill. If I would have tracked better, the Mercy would have maybe missed 20 HP more, but this would not have changed the situation whatsoever. Okay, and now I know I don't need, for this situation, to win this, I don't need to actually work on my tracking, I need to work on different skills. For example, timing with my team stuff, okay? Actually, my team's actually there, but maybe not taking the brick face on or something. Okay? Again, crosser placement is not on head, but it's because I'm playing Tracer, so this is fine. I think the accuracy again was fine, right? The accuracy was fine. Where am I actually? I think I did not reset the speed here. Sorry. Now we are back to where we were. Yeah. So exactly here. So we shoot on the Mercy. Now we shoot on the Kree. Crosser placement is too low, this one I see. I expected the Kree to be further right, that's why I was looking more further right, but now we are yeah, we are tracking the Cree roughly okay. So whatever problems I have, they are not related to an Aimtrainer. And as you can see, this instance, for example, playing more Aim Beast would not make this Cree die any faster. And now you know, okay, maybe I don't need to actually work on my Aim Beast. Now I need to work on my in-game skills. Now if you look at the same situation from this Cree, missed the easy shot on a very big target, missed again. Now throws his automatic hit target, uses your right click, tracks somewhat correctly. And so if you see this player, he might actually benefit from aim training. Why? Because he's actually aiming his shots. He's not really aiming, he's just click, click, click. And sometimes it hits, sometimes it doesn't. Does he actually react to the tracer at some point? Yes, he does. So he turns around, he's jumping. Doesn't understand what the trace is. And you see a lack of, like he moves his crosshair very fast, but then he kind of loses control of his own flick after the shot. So this player would benefit from playing Aim Beast, doing the same progression, but in click timing instead of tracking in this case. And understand how click timing would work for this player, for example. And if you see yourself playing like this, you might have said, okay, which skill could I have actually trained in an Aimtrainer would have helped me? In this case, it would be basically stopping power. So because he basically directs the mouse further than he actually clicks. Yeah, so just a slight example. So there are situations where Aimtraining would help, and situations where Aimtraining would not help. So with that being said, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you actually did, if you actually liked this type of content, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel. We have also an Overwatch 2 channel where I uploaded an aim guide rating all the things that are related to aim that are not covered by Aim Beast or Kovaaks Aimtrainer. And also we are streaming live on Twitch. So if you actually have any questions about this type of content, if you want to have an explanation, you can just send me a watch review of yourself. I will tell you which scenario will help you in Aim Beast or Kovaaks or maybe Aim Labs. Even though I'm not a big fan of Aim Labs, but yeah, well, we can do whatever. Since we are free humans, we are not limited to anything. We're only limited by ourselves. So just feel free to ask. Don't be shy. I love you all. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope and see you next time. Bye bye.